Hello, I'm John Kress, the head basketball coach at the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. Our presentation today will show and teach how to beat the zone defense once it has set up. Of course, if you can beat the zone down the court before it has established via the fast break, I recommend always doing so, because you can get many high percentage shots on the outside, on the inside, possible tip-ins. So many times our big people on defense, who will have to go 94 feet from the offensive end to the defensive end, have a tough time running the floor, getting back to the back line of the zone, whether they have to play the corner, the block, or possibly the middle. I believe there's a trend in both high school and college basketball after the last couple of years to use, I believe, more zone defense. Why? Because we have so many great one-on-one players who really penetrate much better against man-to-man than against zones. And believe it or not, the shooting percentages have gone down some from the outside over the last couple of years. So there is a trend to playing more zone. I'll address, though, today what has been successful for us over the years once that zone is established. There are 12 basic concepts that are very, very important that we have to talk about and show. The first is the ability to recognize the zone. What type is it? Is it a 2-3, a 1-3-1, a 3-2, some type of combination zone, whether it be a box and one, a triangle and two, a matchup zone? Recognize that some zones have gaps in them or seams. Some zones have defenders who can be screened or a little lazy. So recognize those aspects also. Nextly, let's talk about a concept, the poise, patience, payoff. Some zones start tough and stay tough. Some zones begin with playing some real good defense for those first 5 or 6 passes, but then let up. We need to have patience to exploit the zone and do well in that concept. Now we talk about the inside-outside theory, keeping the big people happy, getting the ball inside effectively. So many times when we get the ball inside, it can go from a low post outside to a perimeter player for the open J. And we draw fouls by going inside. I think more games have been won and lost with the inside-outside theory than any other theory in the history of the game of basketball. And next, passing. Are our passes accurate? Are they crisp? On the outside, we use the two-handed chest pass quite a bit. To go into the low post, we like to bend and use the bounce pass to feed the big guys inside. Sometimes we go to the weak side via the skip pass, or if we want to go behind the zone and over the top of the zone, we go with the alley-oop pass. Our pass receiver should be 15 feet away from the next player. Spacing is vital against the zone. We want to spread out and make the zone cover distances and many areas of the court. So it's very important to have spacing on the outside. The pass receiver, when he receives, should be in triple threat position. In an area when he catches for that shot that is open. When he catches, he has to see the next play. If he sees an offensive play who might be open, he has to catch and make the next play as part of triple threat. And lastly, thirdly, we want to sometimes penetrate against the zone from triple threat position. Shooting. We have to do plenty of spot shooting in practice. If we're going to play a team that plays a 2-3 zone, we have to know that the day before in practice, we'll have a guard on the top of the key who's going to split that zone, that 2-3 zone. He's going to take 200 shots in practice from that spot. Our wing players, our guard and small forward, will be on those wings simulating where they'll be against that 2-3 zone the next night out. And now I'd like to go into a concept, dribbling, which is real important. And we're moving on the court now with players. We have found that we can use the dribble against a zone in 2 different ways. The first is to draw defenders to us and now be able to pass off. If 2 guys are guarding myself on defense, then I have players who are open. There's a 4-on-3 situation that develops on the other areas of the court. So dribble and draw. If I have 2 defenders on the top of the zone, I want to dribble and draw them, good. I get both to play me. Now I have passing lanes to the right if I want. I dribble and draw and now go to the left with a pass and a possible shot, or I can also dribble and draw and possibly go through the zone, passing lane to the high post. Also, we dribble to penetrate and beat 2/5 of that zone. Try to get behind the zone, but very rarely can I go all the way from this distance and on top. So now on the dribble penetration, I use an explosive dribble and I get through the zone. Now I've beaten 2/5 of the zone, and if I've done this, if I want to leave my feet, I only leave it if I have a potential shot that can go in. So if I go up and now leave my feet, I have to have the shot, but I can also have the next pass. Again, I've beaten the zone, I pull up, I come to a jump stop, which is real important, and when I elevate, I go way up, I jump, I stay, and then I either release or make that pass upon my arrival downstairs. So beating the zone off the dribble. Now I'd like to talk, and I could have the apple, about screening the zone. So many times in an attack that we'll show a little later on, the BC attack, we attack the zones with first interior screens. So if the ball is on the wing here and I'm coming over here, I'm an offensive player who screens the middle of the zone. I've got a great forward over there, Carlos Brown, who can use the screen if I set it properly. When we set screens, we again come to a jump stop, and I'll just show this in slow motion. I make myself wide, Carlos comes off, I have to watch my 3 seconds, so I have to spin out of the 3-second lane, potentially to the mid-post. We'll show it again in a faster motion with me setting the interior screen on the middle of the zone, Carlos using it going baseline, but me spinning back for the potential shot or pass. So here, I set that good screen, Carlos uses it, I come to the mid-post, possible dump and pass to Carlos Brown. We can also set screens on the outside of the zone. So if Chris Anderson is on the outside of the zone and Darico White has the ball, we can set now the outside screens that result many times in jump shots. So here's the scenario. I'm a forward offensively. Here's our zone. It's a 2-3 of nature. Chris Anderson is the corner player. On the pass to Shane McCravey, we can screen the outside of the zone, skip pass, potential jump shot. One more time, Darico. Pass is made outside. I set that nice screen. Chris doesn't see me. We explode, and we get the outside shot very easily against the zone. I'd like to now show triangles against the zone, how we overload the zone with 3 offensive players against 2. The premise of our offense is to move the ball, but get into a particular part of our zone attack where we're outnumbering the defense 3 against 2. One is a triangle that'll form here with 15 feet spacing, with myself, a mid-post player, and a baseline player in the short corner. Again, 2 defenders. So we've moved the ball, and now I can go from here to the baseline for a shot by Carlos Brown, or we can, in our triangle, hit the high post or mid-post and now go to the baseline. So quick passing, find that mid-post, and we go on the baseline. Or we can bring the triangle to the top. Now we're going to have a guard who's on top, a center who's at the high post, and a wing player, myself. Here's a triangle that we're trying to form against the top of a 2-3 zone. Here, we can go to the high post. He can come here. We're again outnumbering the defense. Or we can go to myself in our triangle. I catch it, and I hit the post right there. So the use of triangles is essential in the completion of our offense. And last but not least is attacking from the rear. This is real important in our attack, especially for our big people. Our 5-man, our 4-man will show attacking from the rear. So if I'm an offensive player and I'm our 5 player, what I come from behind the zone, they can't see me. That can hurt them. So surprise element from behind the zone. So I attack from the rear up the middle. I can attack by coming up here quickly, finding that gap, and coming into that particular area. Or I can play a little cat and mouse with my center. I can come this way, tap him on the shoulder, he looks that way, and I come right in there. So attacking from the rear is very, very important as a concept against the zone. We'll finish our concepts and principles against the zone by talking about the timing against the zone. Much of our offense is initiated with the first pass. So once we make a pass, you'll find players moving, cutting, screening for one another. We want to be in sync with the ball and our passes and people in movement. And last but not least is the rebounding, the offensive part of hitting the glass, getting that edge. Against the zone, you can rebound 2-on-1 from the weak side so effectively because they don't have man-to-man principles. So we try to know if a shot is going to be taken from one side of the court, we have men in position on the weak side for the possible tip and second and third shot. Or you can attack the rebounds from down the middle. So many times guards have a tough time finding offensive players, especially big guys, who rebound down the middle.